Bonjour bitches! So I am filming this video a second time because it was blurry the first time around. Today I'm doing something I hadn't necessarily planned to do with this show, which is analyzing the French indie Thai drama Baker Boys. So you might not know it thanks to my flawless accent, but I am a born and raised Parisian. So I had already planned to analyze the French in Enchanté, another GMMTV show focused on the French language. But Baker Boys took me by surprise and used quite a bit of French in its show. Mostly because it's a bakery related show and we French people, I don't want to brag, are kind of the kings of baking. I do want to preface this video by saying that I will probably sadly have to distort the excerpts I'm gonna be using today. Because sadly, after GMMTV being really strict about copyrighted content, then being really nice about it for about 6 months, they're back to falsely claiming all the videos I make using content from their shows. And then rejecting my appeals even though my videos definitely fall under fair use. So sorry if this video isn't as good as it could be because I have to distort the footage, but blame GMMTV because they're making my life on YouTube miserable.
Love ไม่ใช่Love
Firstly, we have Li's character Spun trying to pronounce the name of the cafe that Singto's character Vier worked in France. And honestly, his pronunciation for a character that is not supposed to know any French is pretty good. He says love ou la, and he's like struggling to say poule. But for his pronunciation for love, it is actually pretty good. And I would even say that Singto's pronunciation, which is supposed to be better since Vier spent quite a few years in France, is worse for this cafe's name. Here he kind of rounds out the name a little too much. He goes like la fou la poule, which does betray that he is not a fluent speaker. It isn't bad, I can still kind of understand him, but it would be le fou la poule. And I do understand that it's first of all, if you like see it written down as a Thai person who firstly doesn't have the same alphabet and did learn the alphabet but for English, you will be very confused about the way of is written. And honestly, just for that, the pronunciation of Pun's character is actually really good because he managed to understand how the word is pronounced even though it's written very weirdly for foreigners.
เป็นร้านขนมขึ้นชื่อที่พาเค้นะครับ Paris ภาษาฝรั่งเศสเนี่ยอ่านว่าพาเค้นะครับ
So this is probably the best French in the whole fucking show. This kills me. This is hilarious to me because here he is pronouncing Paris really correctly, but I love the tone that he uses to pronounce it because he's not saying Paris, he's saying Paris. And that's like kind of the bitchy tone that probably a lot of like rich people in the 16e arrondissement have, and it's hilarious to me that he pronounced it like this. I just know that Vier, like in France, was living his best life acting like he was a fucking millionaire, and honestly good for him, you know. But yes, Paris. This shit kills me every time.
ผมว่าจะทำแครมบูเล่ขายตอนเปิดร้านอะ
So here, I would say that the pronunciation isn't good if you want to be faithful to the French word, which is crème brûlée. We're gonna see today that the two sounds for me in French that are very hard for foreigners are gonna be the R and the U. Or R is not R, it's not R, it's R, which can be really hard for foreigners. And the U is also very hard because I don't think I've heard another language use this U. So yeah, I think we're one of the very rare languages that use that U. And so it's very hard for foreigners to kind of wrap their mind around it. I can totally understand. But here, it's not the right pronunciation for crème brûlée.
ชีวิตมึงเป็นเหมือนเค็มบูเล่ป่ะวะ
Here, once again, I do think that Li has a better French accent than Singto, which I do not want to create drama. I should have put a disclaimer that I'm not here insulting the actor's skills. I'm sure they didn't have a lot of time, if any time, to learn French for the show. So here for me, I'm not really criticizing the actors or anyone in particular. I'm just trying to point out where the level of French makes sense and when it doesn't. And so here we have Li, he kind of misses on brûlé. He says brûlé, which like, again, he doesn't know how to do the U, but he does say crème.
ผมกำลังเตรียมแป้งทำแมดเล่นครับ
you see that Singto is trying to pronounce Madeleine, and he pronounces it awfully wrong. Honestly, I'm gonna be honest, if like someone came to me in the supermarket and said, when can I find the Madeleine? I probably wouldn't understand what they're saying. They would have to repeat it a couple of times before I'm like, oh, Madeleine. And I don't quite understand why he went Madeleine, because there is the S sound in Thai. It might be slightly different to the S sound in French. So here I think it would have been a really easy fix. I'm sure they had like a French coordinator or something on set. I mean, I hope so. And here the French coordinator should have been, no, it's Madeleine.
เมนูวันนี้นะครับเราจะทำชัวลาเค
So here, once again, at least he tried a little more. And I think here the problem is, again, kind of the way Thai is used versus French. In Thai, you tend to kind of not pronounce as hard the ending of the word as the beginning. Whereas in French, we are not like that at all. I would say if I have to compare French and Thai, French would be like a calm little road, really, really on the same tone, on the same plane. And then we have Thai that would be a chain of mountains. And it would go boop, 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 boop. Because in Thai, there are tones, there's like the fading out at the end of the words, there's a lot going on that make the language. In French, we tend to speak on the same tone most of the time, and we do not fade out our words. Here he says chou à la crème. You can hear the end of the word, and honestly, most French people wouldn't understand what he's saying. It needs to be chou à la crème.
Meringues.
So here, again, I think it's kind of a case where he didn't even try to pronounce meringue the French way. He pronounced it more the English way. I don't know why he called the dessert meringues. I've never heard of that dish before.
ผมก็เลยใช้ดาร์กช็อกโกแลต 70% ในการทำกานาช
So here ganache is a word that has been appropriated in English to talk about baking as well. And so here he pronounced it pretty easily. Honestly, even for like the Americans or the British, I hear pronounce ganache. They don't say it as casually as we do French people, like ganache. They say ganache, ganache, which is kind of cute. Honestly, that's fine. So here he did a pretty good job.
ผมทำกาเฟ่ลิเอชัวสูตรไม่หวาน
So here he says café liégeois, which is a very popular thing in France to serve at the end of the meal because it combines coffee and dessert all in one. And here I'm really proud of you, Singto, because you pronounce it really well.
เค็มบูเล่ครับ
And here we have Pooh, played by Foy, my favorite character in the show. I adore him, a bicon. And here he is struggling to say crème brûlée, which is normal because the character has no knowledge of French. Again, it's on the U that people struggle. We have seen up until now, I don't think I've heard a lot of U pronounced correctly.
นี่เป็นคุกกี้เนยสไตล์ฝรั่งเศสนะคะเรียกว่าซาเบเบอร์ตง
Sablé breton, sa mère! Sablé breton is something I don't eat very often, not because you only have to be in Brittany, because breton is from Bretagne, Brittany in English. It's not that I could like find sablé breton here in Paris really easily, it's just that I don't eat. I think the last time I ate some was like 3 or 4 years ago. Like I miss that shit. It's like a cookie that's like pure butter and like it crumbles in your mouth. That's why it's called sablé. Sablé like sable, which is sand. So honestly, I don't have much to say. Is it the best pronunciation of the show? No, but it's pretty good.
Bonjour.
So now we have Jean, the bad guy, and the French guy of the show. And so first of all, I want to note that it is very disrespectful to go in Thailand, to have someone speak to you in Thai because they clearly assume that you are Thai and reply to them in your own language. And here it really shows Jean's personality, which is garbage. So here I do like the tone that he uses to say bonjour, because when you like greet someone, you're not gonna say bonjour, you're gonna say bonjour. You're gonna go a little higher up. Here I would say his bonjour is okay. Doesn't sound like a French person. Sorry, I'm gonna be picky as fuck. And this Jean for me is the character I'm gonna obviously be picky with because he's supposed to be French. So obviously I'm not gonna go easy on him, even though I do know that the actor playing him is not French, but he does more so sounds like a foreigner trying to say bonjour. He almost goes into this bonjour, which is the #1 betrayal, and that you are a foreigner trying to speak French.
Bonjour.
And we have Pen replying bonjour, which here he completely leans into that bonjour that I say is very synonymous with foreigners trying to say bonjour. Here, once again, the actor betrays himself as not being French because he doesn't do the number one thing that every French person does, which is to link two words together so it sounds smoother and better. So we don't say mon amour, we say mon amour. It's kind of fused together. And here, you can hear that he doesn't make the full liaison. And here I'm gonna be a little less nice than I was until now, even though you probably think I'm a bitch. Honestly, we French people are kind of quite protective of our language. Honestly, I don't really care if you don't speak French really well. But at some point, if your character is gonna be French, have him be fluent in French.
ชองเป็นอาจารย์ที่สอนผมทำขนม
So here I wanted to highlight how they say Jean. Vieira does not pronounce Jean's name correctly. He pronounced it more as Jean, kind of airy, and instead of using the J that starts the name, which is Jean. What bothers me as well is that as someone who's learning Thai, I know that there is the J sound in Thai. For example, two actresses who have the J sound in their names is Jan and Jane. You know, if you can say their names, you can say Jean.
Bonjour. Yeah.
Here he got a little better at the bonjour. Bonjour, Vier.
ที่ร้านไม่มีกราฟูติขายนะ
Here he's talking about clafoutis. Here pronounces it kind of okay, I guess. It just doesn't sound French.
ร้านเราก็จะทำการเล่ขายเหมือนกัน
So here, once again, I told you from the beginning, I felt that Lee, either he speaks a little bit of French or he has a gift for French. And honestly, Lee, if you want me to give you French lesson for free, you can call me anytime. Follow me on Instagram. So anyways, I feel like Lee has something because here he said cannelé really well because the kind of first like intuition would be to say cannelé. But we French people tend to sometimes like kind of get rid of a few letters to kind of again make the pronunciation a lot smoother when we talk, and it's gonna be cannelé.
ว่าถึงแม้การเล่เนี่ยจะมีส่วนผสมแค่ไม่กี่อย่าง
And here we have here who's supposed to pronounce it better, and here he said cannelé. He kind of gives it a tone which is a very Thai thing to do. Here it's not the worst, but once again I feel like he goes too airy with it. You have to hammer the word in.
Merci.
And here once again we have Jean betraying himself as a non-French person because he said merci. And in French, the R would be really hammered in. Once again, it would be merci.
ส่วนประกอบที่สำคัญแล้วก็เป็นเอกลักษณ์ที่สุดของ financier คือ
So here, the beginning of financier was good, but you can see that he goes kind of into it in English way because he starts finan, it's good, and then he go financier.
นั่นมันการเล่
So here you can see the complete Thai accent come back. A lot of Thai people will kind of elongate the last syllable of the word, which is not something that we French people do.
เอาเมียเอาเมีย
ทอเมีย
So here, the first time he say palmier, palmier. The second time around, the first one was better, but once again you say palmier. Palmier is also so good. Oh, I used to have it all the time. Well, as a child, it's also very buttery and sugary. All the good stuff in life.
อันนี้อะไร
มิลเฟย
So here he kind of pronounces it okay. It's millefeuille, and he kind of go millefeuille. But the feuille, honestly, he pronounces it pretty well, which is funny because feuille is also the nickname for the guy who plays Pooh.
ชูเฟ่
Soufflé. So here he didn't pronounce it correctly because it's soufflé. But once again, honestly, I'm just like correcting him because I want this video to kind of make you learn something, I guess. But just saying Pun's character doesn't have to be good at French because he isn't supposed to speak French.
เอแคร์
Here, what's funny is that they're saying équerre when they should be saying éclair. But if you're saying équerre, équerre is literally this thing that is served to create triangles in math class.
คาเฟ่
Parfait. So here we have Krating, my other favorite character. After Pooh, we have him speak French. Once again, he's not supposed to speak French. We'll see more of him speaking French in a few minutes. So here he said parfait. So he did betray himself as a foreigner trying to speak French because it would be parfait.
ไปมากระลอง
So here he said macaron, which is macaron. So here he just pronounced it the Thai way, completely okay. Once again, Krating is not supposed to speak French. Here I feel like Krating kind of like went in with the crème brûlée because he said crème brûlée. But honestly, I feel like from all of the crème brûlée that I've heard today, it's kind of the best one because he kind of almost went into the U that is really hard to pronounce and that we haven't witnessed until now. So he almost went into it. Honestly, Krating, you have potential. Plum, if you want to call me for me to give you French classes for free, no problem. Here's my Instagram.
Cherry Clafouti.
So here we have Cherry Clafouti. So once again, you can tell that Jean is not a real French people because he says Clafouti.
The horse.
So here, So first of all, I didn't even know what that dessert was because I had literally to Google it to know what the fuck it is. But I knew as soon as I saw the way it was written that it would have never in a million years been dacquoise. Dacquoise would be a very English way to pronounce it. So the only way that it could be pronounced with the way it's written is dacquoise. So as soon as I heard that very English pronunciation of a obviously French dish, the way it's written, I was like, Jean, stop faking to be French. You are not a real Frenchman. I'm sorry, I don't want to gatekeep being French, but at this point I have to do it, you know? Because like, sir, I think like honestly seeing how much Jean is a manipulator on the show, it wouldn't surprise me that he has faked his whole identity because he's obsessed with Villiers and wants to be with him.
Il est foutant.
Now, this is where I want beef. Firstly, il le flottant. This is what you have to say, Jean, supposedly the Frenchman. It's il flottant. You know why? You know why I'm taking this so personally? Because il flottant was my favorite dessert ever as a child. That shit as a child literally will change your whole fucking life. You have this fucking like bowl of like kind of creamy, like, I don't know, vanilla-y thing on top of like vanilla cream, and that shit is floating. That shit is floating into the night. It's like an island that you eat. Bitch, as a child, tell me this wouldn't change your life. And on top of it, that shit is fucking delicious. Honestly, I'm an il flottant stan, and honestly, the fact that I haven't eaten one in like fucking years, like maybe like 6-7 years, is frankly a crime. That pronunciation is terrible. I'm sorry, I'm gonna be harsh right now. No. This was the worst pronunciation I've heard in the whole fucking show, and it's from the only character that's supposed to be French. There is a problem. Here I feel like Jean kind of redeemed himself a little bit because he made the link in Mon Amour, and he said it in such like a romantic Mon Amour. Never let me become an actress, even though I do have the talent. Look at my eyes, they're fiery. I could be an actress. Anyways, Mon Amour.
Merci, mon amour.
And here once again, he goes back to failing because he said merci, merci. You have to pronounce each letter in the word except when you don't. Yeah, now I'm realizing how fucking French doesn't make sense. You know, French is a feeling. I mean, we give fucking gender to our objects. It's a feeling, it's a vibe.
นี่คือคุณเปียร์
So here we have, for the first time, a real French individual. The other thing I want to comment before we hear an actual French person speak is gonna be the names. The names for the two French characters of the show. We have Jean and Pierre, which is funny because you can absolutely combine the two of them and make Jean-Pierre. Those are very old names. I mean, I don't think I've ever met someone under 40 or even 50 called Jean or Pierre. Here they just wanted to give them the most cliché French names.
Bonjour, je m'appelle Pierre.
So here you can hear the actual French accent. This man is 100% French. First of all, that's kind of rude. Like, you can see this character can speak Thai as well. So yeah, just saying, he can understand that Krating is like overwhelmed, and he still goes to introduce himself while they're talking. Kind of rude. Once again, I don't like the implications of that.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
So here here we have, first of all, I'm gonna have to criticize his way of learning French. I mean, I think as an adult, learning how to pronounce the French alphabet, because obviously Thai people have their own alphabet, and so when they learn the Roman alphabet, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called, they learn the English way of pronouncing it. My issue is gonna be though that I feel like as an adult, if you're learning French, especially like Krating is gonna go to France to study, you wanna learn the basics of French first, simply because this is a very complicated language. So here, learning ABCDEFG, frankly, I don't think that's kind of the priority. You want him to be able to actually say a sentence of his own instead of just learning the alphabet. But here the pronunciation at the beginning is okay, and then he says A, B, C, D, E, F, G, so he gives up halfway, which is like kind of the nature of Krating as a character who gives up kind of easily.
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, L, S, T, U, W, X, Y, Z.
So here you have an actual child pronouncing the alphabet. She messed up towards the end, especially with the V and W, because these are sounds that do not exist in Thai. For example, in Thai, you do not pronounce the V. For example, to say Valentine's Day, you will say Valentine's Day.
ต้องพูดว่า quelle est votre profession
Quelle est profession?
Quelle est votre profession Je suis pâtissier
Quelle est profession?
I gotta say, Plum is really not doing a bad job. Like, of course, he's struggling, and that's kind of like the whole point of this scene. But I think what's interesting, especially, once again, I'm gonna have to criticize the way the teacher is trying to have him learn French. It just doesn't work. You're not gonna say one time the sentence that you want him to repeat. Learning a language is about understanding why things happen. He has Google Translate. If he just needs to translate one sentence in French, he can do it. You have to explain what's going on. You cannot just go in and say, yes, to say this, you say that.
คำนี้นะสู้เคย
So I'm gonna be a bit critical again. If you want to learn a language, I would say to not learn with someone. You don't even have to be a native, but at least bilingual in that language. And so here, the way she pronounces sucré is wrong. She says sucré. So she pronounces it the way that Krating is gonna learn it, the wrong way.
Le gâteau est très sucré.
Here my girlie is struggling. Le gâteau est très sucré. Le gâteau est très sucré. So here she's not doing a terrible job. The issue is, once again, they're trying to pretend like she is bilingual, which she is not.
Sucré.
Sucré.
Sucré. You see? Krating has learned the wrong word. If you come in France and say sucré, most people won't understand you. It's sucré.
Chevret dimoniaque.
So here, a rule that we learned very early on in school is that the X at the end of the sentence is often not pronounced. If you want to talk about les hiboux, you are not gonna say les hibouks. So here he takes mieux and says mieux. Now the fact is that Krating has had like French lessons for less than a month at this point, so Jude is struggling. He has had one bad teacher, now he's getting another bad teacher. Jude is struggling for his life.
Bien joué
Bien joué. So here he's trying to say bien joué. Here you're supposed to be like fluent in French, and you've been struggling this whole time.
Belle.
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 Très bien.
Belle. Here, Monet is equating the word beautiful to belle. Now that's completely ignoring the fact that the French language is an extremely gendered language. We give gender to our objects. This is a she. This mirror right here is a man. Why? Don't ask me. As I said, French is just vibes. The word has a masculine side and a feminine side. Quel beau miroir! What a beautiful mirror! Quelle belle bouteille! What a beautiful bottle! So you have to learn the way words are said, both for women and for men, even when we're talking about objects. But here she is only having him learn belle, which is a mistake, because if he goes to France, he will have to say beau at some point.
Monet is si belle.
Here the pronunciation isn't the worst. I think my only issue is that it is not a realistic way of how people talk, especially young people like Monet and Krating. If I was to see Monet right here, I would say, Oh, Monet, elle est trop belle. I would never say si belle. Si belle is kind of outdated, if you will. That's something you would have said maybe 30 years ago. Right now, you say trop belle.
Monet n'est pas belle.
So here, it would be Monet n'est pas belle, but once again, Krating is struggling for his life. So he says, Monet n'est pas belle.
Monet is belle.
Pas belle, pas belle, pas belle, pas belle.
Pas belle, pas belle, pas belle. That's really cute. I love Krating. So here, there's no pronunciation, there is just this sentence written out, T'es l'amour de ma vie. And here I really liked it because they could have went the kind of official way, which is Tu es l'amour de ma vie, but real French people do not say Tu es l'amour de ma vie, they would say T'es l'amour de ma vie. For once, Jean kind of sounds really French. Weirdly, that's the only moment where he's not talking.
Croquembouche, croquembouche.
Croquembouche. So here I do like the tone that he adopted. So I do think that's a pretty French way of saying it.
Merci.
Here I do like the merci that Krating says. Merci. He did pronounce the R, which not a lot of people have. Even Jean was not capable of using that. So good for you, Krating.
Pas de problème.
Pas de problème. So it would be pas de problème. So she is struggling. I said Monet girly, if you want French classes, I'm here. So this was it for today's video. As you can see, the French really wasn't the best. It wasn't the worst either though, but you know, the only character that really pissed me off was Jean because he's supposed to be a French man and he just barely speaks French, no shade. I kind of wonder why they didn't hire Léo Sausset from GMMTV for this role because he's already under the company and he is half French and I'm pretty sure that I've heard him speak French on School Rangers once. So yeah, I would have preferred if Jean was played by an actual French actor or actually at least a half French actor. That kind of bothered me, to be honest, because at some point, if you're gonna be a French character, at least speak flawless French, you know? But yeah, it was definitely fun for me to mix my kind of native French language with my passion for Thai dramas. I'm really looking forward to doing this same type of video for Enchanté and I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next time and have a great day.